When a car commands a price of over 3 million pesos, it better be special. But the question is, what makes a car special? Is it the way it looks? Could it be all its tech and features? Or perhaps performance? No, maybe it should be all of the above. Or maybe it's something so profound that we just can't put our finger on it unless we experience it. Well then, let's experience it. The Kia Stinger GT. Something tells me this is going to be a good day. Before anything else, let's see what this car can actually do. Sport mode on, traction control off, left foot on the brake, launch control ready. Whoa! That will never get old. This car can do 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds and reach a top speed of 270 kilometers an hour. And what makes all that possible is a 3.3-liter V6 with a twin-scroll turbo that pumps out 365 horsepower and 510 Newton meters of torque, which is more than enough to put a smile on your face from ear to ear each time you put your foot down. But if you really want linear power delivery, you're gonna have to keep it on sport mode. And not that this is a slouch on its normal setting, but there's a slight delay at low RPM. And it's not because of turbo lag. It's just that you think you're already going fast, and then there's this sudden surge of power when you get past 1/3 of the rev range, and it kind of takes you by surprise. But I don't think it'll come as a surprise to anyone who's standing outside. Because the car certainly looks the part, and it manages to do that without going over the top. And you can tell that a beast resides under the hood simply because of how long it stretches. Then you have the Brembo brakes, which tells you that this car is in need of some serious stopping power. You get 4 piston calipers on a 13.8-inch disc up front and 2 piston calipers on 13.4-inch discs for the rear. You also get these gorgeous 19-inch alloys, which are staggered, 225 up front and 255 at the back. Now this may have done 480 laps during its development stage at the Nürburgring, but it isn't exactly what you'd call a track weapon. This, as the name suggests, is a GT car. A Grand Tourer, which means it can do without a ridiculous wing or vortex generators that will ruin this perfect silhouette. Now granted, there are these fake hood vents, but overall, the look is menacing without being offensive. But thankfully, most of the air vents here are functional. You have air vents on the front bumper and on the side of the car, which helps cool the brakes aside from giving the car better aerodynamics. And of course, like any Kia, you get the signature Tiger Nose grille, which sits right below this badge. Now some say that this would have been better off with a Stinger badge or the K emblem. But at the end of the day, this is still a Kia. And that's not a bad thing because Kia makes some of the best automobiles in the world. So I say, wear the badge proudly. And I really love how they made use of dark chrome instead of that flashy stuff that really belonged to cars from the 70s. Along the side, you'll see that this car has a fastback design with a sloping roofline that makes its way all the way until the back of the car. Now some say that this may have been inspired by the Audi S7 or A5, but I beg to disagree because this takes a page straight from the 3rd generation Kia Optima, and that's been around for over a decade. But unlike the Optima, this is a hatch, which can be opened hands-free. It's just nice to see that practicality was not left out of the equation. You still get 406 liters of trunk space with the seats up, and when you fold the seats down, you extend that to 1,114 liters. So you get the practicality of a CUV with the performance of a sports car. That price tag is already starting to make sense, and I haven't even shown you the interior yet. But even before you step inside, you're greeted with an illuminated door handle, and the seat and steering column move to make ingress even easier. Now there's a car that knows how to make you feel welcome. And then the seat and the steering column moves back into place, and you turn it on, and the instrument cluster comes to life. By today's standards, this isn't exactly the most modern interior, as you won't find screens and touchpads everywhere. But it's aging quite well, and as far as I'm concerned, physical knobs and buttons are always a welcome sight. But not only is everything intuitive and well within reach, the switchgear and all moving parts such as these air vents and this cover feel extremely well built. All touch points are soft, and there's use of brushed aluminum and nice speaker covers to break the monotony, which also makes this feel more upscale. You also get ambient lighting, which never fails to elevate the look and feel of a car's cabin. The seat is extremely comfortable, and it offers just the right amount of bolstering. It doesn't squash you, but it does a good job in keeping you in place, especially when you're cornering like a bat out of hell. There's also heaps of adjustability. Aside from getting lumbar support, you can also extend the front part of the seat to ensure your underthighs are firmly planted. You can even extend the steering column so far out to get the perfect driving position. And what I love about this is you can program or save your individual adjustments if you're kind enough to let someone else drive your Stinger. It even remembers the settings of your side mirrors. Speaking of side mirrors, this has an auto-dimming function and blind spot monitoring. It can even be programmed to tilt each time you put it in reverse. And that comes in really handy, especially when you're parallel parking. But what makes parking easier is the fact that this comes with a 360 camera. Now the resolution isn't the best in the market, but it gets the job done, and there are various angles you could choose from. Now the infotainment system here comes in the form of this 8-inch touchscreen, which could be better integrated. It kind of looks like someone left their iPad here. But at least it comes standard with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You can also connect devices via Bluetooth and USB. This also comes with a 15-speaker Harman Kardon audio system, which consists of low-frequency drivers, mids, and tweeters on all doors. Frequency response is broad, and there is good separation, but it's a little bass-heavy. So if you're a tito like me, you'll find yourself turning down the bass levels. It just sounds a little muddy for my old ears. Other niceties here include push-button start, an auto-dimming mirror, an electronic park brake, and a wireless charger. The gear selector has a very ergonomic shift knob, and operating it is like using a joystick. Push up for reverse and down for drive. You can even switch straight to park with a simple push of this button. You also get various drive modes which alter shift and throttle mapping, as well as steering feel and suspension stiffness. The best part about this is you can customize each setting individually. You can even adjust how loud you want the piped-in engine noise to be. When it comes to the instrument cluster, you get analog gauges for the most part, but you also get a 7-inch LCD that serves as a multi-info screen. It even has a boost gauge and a torque and G-force meter, amongst other neat things. Overall, this is such a well-rounded interior, and you're gonna hear me say this a lot during this video, but despite this car's sporty character, there's no shortage of practicality and creature comforts in here. There's heaps of space and storage. You even get cup holders here and bottle holders on all doors. There's also a dual zone climate control system, and even the air vents at the back are a sight for sore eyes. As expected, room back there is adequate, and headroom isn't that compromised since the seats are slightly slanted. But where this thing really shines is behind the wheel, especially when it starts moving. It's just amazing how this thing can be so civilized and sporty at the same time. Now this isn't exactly what you'd call hardcore sporty if you're looking for that visceral driving experience. This leans more towards refinement, and that's perfectly acceptable because this is a cruiser. It's a GT car after all. But don't get me wrong, there's definitely still a sense of engagement, especially when you have it on sport mode, which is where the car really comes to life. The steering is nicely weighted, and the ratio is pretty quick. The best part is it gives a good amount of feedback. You can always tell where the wheels are pointing, and it always feels like they're firmly planted on the ground, which is very assuring. And even on its stiffest setting, the suspension is fairly compliant. It's never jarring. I currently have it on sport mode, and I'm not complaining. But the thing is, across the different drive modes, you do feel the difference when it comes to body roll. And this may not be tuned to give you the fastest lap time, but it's definitely tuned to give you the best driving experience. 480 laps around the Nürburgring was not done in vain. You also get a limited slip diff, which varies torque from the inner to the outer wheel to prevent slippage. And together with the dynamic torque vectoring system, which distributes braking and power to different wheels to help you maintain your course, this thing handles phenomenally. This also comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission. And it may not be a DCT, but it still shifts fairly quickly. And you can also activate the paddles simply by clicking on them. However, you're going to need to keep it on sport mode with the traction control off if you want it to bounce off the rev limiter, because it tends to auto upshift if you don't. But again, despite its sporty character, this car is so civilized and refined. It has multiple personalities. So if you're looking for something that packs a lot of performance that won't beat you up as a daily driver, then look no further. The Kia Stinger sells for 3,325,000 pesos. Now I know that isn't exactly chump change, but when you compare this against similarly priced cars, nothing comes close to it in terms of performance, features, and practicality. But there's no point in making sense out of it, because regardless of what logic tells you, you're gonna want this. I know I do.